Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. What an honor. And I love you too. We are gathered here on the sacred soil of Arlington National Cemetery. I had deferments because of college, and I had a foot thing, and I had deferment for that. I always wanted to get the Purple Heart. This was much easier.
Well, everybody's heard about the bird.
Oh, Jam. Pop that blister. Jesus H. Christ. Private Pile, why is your footlocker unlocked?
Sir, you have no idea.
Private Pile, if there is one thing in this world that I hate, it is an unlocked footlocker. You know that, don't you?
Sir! Yes, sir!
If it wasn't for dickheads like you, there wouldn't be any thievery in this world, would there?
No, sir.
Get down!
Sir, do you think I could take a pass, please? I beg you, please?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that, Private Pile?
Sir, don't even waste your time talking anymore. You have a lot of business to do.
A jelly donut? How did it get here? Is chow allowed in the barracks, Private Pile?
No, sir, you don't have to have anything.
Are you allowed to eat jelly donuts, Private Pile?
No, sir, no thank you.
Private Pile has dishonored himself and dishonored the platoon.
No problem, sir.
I have tried to help him.
Thank you, sir, thank you.
But I have failed. I have failed because you have not helped me. You people have not given Private Pile.
This is Intercepted. I'm Jeremy Scahill, coming to you from the offices of The Intercept in New York City, and this is episode 58 of Intercepted.
If you are smuggling a child, then we will prosecute you, and that child may be separated from you as required by law.
There is a systematic anti-immigrant campaign being waged in this country, and we're going to get to Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions and this whole authoritarian apparatus in a little while. But first, let's go over some essential context. Back in 2014, lawyers and human rights advocates who work with undocumented immigrants began noticing a sharp uptick in reports of abuse, neglect, and other mistreatment of children while in custody of the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. And the allegations were horrifying. Agents punching a child in the head, another kicking a child in the ribs, invasive and traumatic searches in the genital areas of teenage girls, making them scream, threats of sexual assault, denying medical care to a pregnant teenager, using a stun gun on a boy, causing him to convulse and his eyes to roll back in his head. In June of 2014, the ACLU and the International Human Rights Clinic at the University of Chicago Law School filed complaints with the Department of Homeland Security. And the complaints documented the cases of 116 unaccompanied children, ranging in age from 5 years old to 17. According to these organizations, a quarter of the children said that they were physically or sexually abused. They said they'd been placed in so-called stress positions and were at times subjected to beatings by customs officials. More than half of the kids reported receiving death threats from U.S. government agents. DHS basically did absolutely nothing with this extremely disturbing information. So in December of 2014, the ACLU filed a Freedom of Information Act request. And last week, they released thousands of pages of documents. What emerged from these internal documents was a pattern of atrocious abuse and neglect. These documents are all from before Donald Trump was president. They describe a system that was run under the Obama administration. In fact, here's how the ACLU and University of Chicago Law Clinic described what was discovered through the FOIA request. In a recent report, they wrote that the records, quote, reveal the absence of meaningful internal or external agency oversight and accountability. The federal government has failed to provide adequate safeguards and humane detention conditions for children in CBP custody. It has further failed to institute effective accountability mechanisms for government officers who abuse the vulnerable children entrusted to their care. These failures have allowed a culture of impunity to flourish within CBP, subjecting immigrant children to conditions that are too often neglectful at best and sadistic at worst. That was during the Obama administration. And remember, Hillary Clinton was a supporter of deporting unaccompanied minors. Here she is speaking in 2014, just as these human rights groups were raising alarm.
We've got to do more. I started this when I was secretary to deal with the violence in this region, to deal with border security. But we have to send a clear message. Just because your child gets across the border, that doesn't mean the child gets to stay. So we don't want to...
We should also remember that Hillary Clinton played a key role in the coup in Honduras in 2009 that caused a sustained exodus that included unaccompanied children making their way to the United States illegally. And Clinton responded to this by openly saying that children should be deported, including some who fled the violence in a destabilized Honduras. In 2014, U.S. deportations hit their highest point. Under Obama, more than 2 million people were deported. Toward the end of his presidency, Obama did try to change some of that course.